Ever wonder why some information just sticks in your memory, like glue, while other details seem to vanish, no matter how hard you try?
Hmm.
Or why, studying for hours doesn't always translate into real understanding?
Right. That feeling is definitely familiar to a lot of people.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating world of how we actually learn.
Yeah, it's a great topic.
We've pulled together a really rich stack of sources for you, from foundational stuff like cognitive load theory to insights on fostering metacognition, plus practical tips from 6 strategies for effective learning and the psychology of learning.
A really solid base to work from.
Our mission, it's really to give you the essential insights you need to become, truly well-informed about your own learning process.
Right. Helping you understand your brain's incredible capacity.
Exactly. And equipping you with evidence-based strategies to make learning, quicker, deeper, and way more lasting.
Prepare for some potential aha moments, hopefully.
Definitely. Things that might change how you approach new information. Okay, let's unpack this then. Before we can even talk about how to learn better, we kind of need to understand the basic setup, the architecture of our memory.
That's the foundation, yeah.
Yeah.
Our brains are constantly processing information, and it generally moves through 3 main stages: sensory, working, and long-term memory.
Okay, so sensory memory first. What's that doing?
So sensory memory, it acts like a really quick filter. It takes in this huge amount of incoming information, everything you see, hear, touch,
Right.
But it only passes very selected details onto the next stage. Think of it like a super brief snapshot. Most of it just fades away instantly.
Okay, so just the important bits get through that filter, and then they move into working memory. What's that exactly?
Yeah, working memory is essentially your brain's active workspace. It's where you're holding and manipulating information right now.
Like mental juggling.
It's exactly like mental juggling. But here's the catch. It has a surprisingly limited capacity. We think we can multitask, but really it typically handles only about 5 to 9 pieces or chunks of information at any one time.
Wow, that's not much.
It really isn't. So information in your working memory is either used immediately, like a phone number you dial and forget, or it gets actively categorized, processed, and prepared for storage.
Prepared for storage in the big one. Long-term memory. What makes that different?
Well, long-term memory is where information is stored for, extended periods, hours, days, even a lifetime. And crucially, it's not just a dump of facts. It organizes information into these structures called schemas.
Schemas, like mental frameworks.
Precisely. Frameworks for understanding concepts, procedures, everything. And the more you use these schemas, the more developed they become, making it easier to recall information and connect new learning to what you already know.
Okay, so that limited working memory you mentioned, that connects directly to this idea of cognitive load, right? What exactly is cognitive load?
Yes, absolutely. Cognitive load is basically the total amount of mental effort your working memory is using at any given moment. It's why trying to learn something complex while your phone is buzzing and music is playing feels impossible.
Information overload is real.
It's very real. And here's a key insight.
Yeah.
Not all cognitive load is the same. There are actually 3 types.
Oh, interesting. Okay, break those down.
Sure. First, there's intrinsic load. This is just the inherent difficulty of the material itself. Calculus is just harder than basic addition, no matter how well it's explained.
Right.
That's intrinsic.
Okay, makes sense. The complexity of the topic itself.
Right. Then you have extraneous load. This is the unnecessary load, the extra mental work caused by how the information is presented. Think poorly designed slides, a confusing textbook layout, lots of distractions.
So bad teaching or a bad environment.
Exactly. It's cognitive effort that doesn't actually help you learn. It just gets in the way. And finally, there's germane load. This is the good stuff.
The good load.
Yeah, the good cognitive load. This is the effort your brain puts into actually processing the new information, understanding it, and connecting it to those schemas in your long-term memory. This is the effort that leads to real learning.
So intrinsic is the topic's difficulty, extraneous is the distracting stuff, and germane is the actual learning effort.
Got it.
But when does it become too much? What's cognitive overload?
Cognitive overload happens when the combination of all those loads, intrinsic, extraneous, and germane, just swamps your working memory.
Like juggling too many balls.
Perfect analogy. You just can't handle it all. Your brain hits capacity. And even really smart people struggle to process new info, make decisions, or even do simple tasks when they're overloaded. It's your brain saying, nope, too much.
I think we've all felt that freeze moment. So what does this understanding of cognitive load mean for us practically when we're trying to learn something new?
It means we need to be really strategic. We need to manage that load. Minimize the extraneous load, reduce distractions, look for clear explanations, and then focus our effort on activities that promote that germane load, the actual learning part.
Right. And knowing about cognitive load helps us understand why some learning strategies are just so much more effective than others.
Exactly.
Because just passively rereading notes or highlighting, I mean, it feels productive, right? Yeah. But it doesn't always lead to deep, lasting learning.
Not usually. No, the research is pretty clear. Active engagement beats passive review almost every time. So many students fall back on things like massing, cram.
NLT.
We've all done it. Or just rereading. And yeah, maybe it helps slightly for a test tomorrow, but for long-term retention, not so much.
So what are these more effective evidence-based methods then? Let's get into the good stuff.
Okay, one of the absolute powerhouses is retrieval practice. Some people call it self-testing or active recall.
Right. This is where you actively try to pull information out of your memory, right? Without looking at your notes. Like a mini test for yourself.
Precisely. It's like flexing a memory muscle. Every time you successfully retrieve something, you strengthen the neural pathway to that memory, making it easier to access next time.
Like finding a path in the woods, the more you use it, the clearer it gets.
That's a great way to put it. And there are lots of ways to do it. Using flashcards is classic, and apps like RemNote or Anki can even build in spaced repetition automatically.
Oh yeah, those are useful.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Or doing practice questions, past papers, anything that forces you to produce the answer yourself. There's also the Feynman technique.
Explain that one.
It's where you try to explain a concept in really simple terms, like you're teaching it to a child. If you could do that clearly, without jargon, off the top of your head, you'd probably understand it deeply.
That sounds challenging.
It can be. And another one is blurting, just taking a blank sheet of paper and rapidly writing down everything you remember about a topic. It quickly shows you what's solid and what's fuzzy.
Okay, but retrieval practice sounds harder than just rereading. It takes more effort.
It absolutely does. And it can feel uncomfortable, especially at first, because it highlights what you don't know.
Yeah, that oh moment.
Right. But that discomfort, that's actually a sign it's working. It's pinpointing the gaps. That desirable difficulty is where the learning happens. Don't shy away from it.
Okay, embrace the struggle. Good advice. What's next? Spaced practice.
Yes, spaced practice. This one directly fights that urge to cram. Instead of one monster study session.
All-nighter.
Exactly. Instead of that, you plan multiple shorter study sessions spread out over time. So maybe you review something today, then again in a couple of days, then maybe next week.
Why does spreading it out work better?
It gives your brain time for memory consolidation. Allowing yourself to forget a little bit between sessions actually forces your brain to work harder to retrieve the information the next time. And that effort strengthens the memory.
So a little forgetting is actually good?
In this context, yes. It helps move information from that fragile short-term working memory into more durable long-term memory. It's a direct counter to the forgetting curve, where we naturally forget things over time. So studying, say, statistics concepts for an hour twice a week for several weeks is far better than an 8-hour cram session.
Makes sense. Okay, and related to spacing is interleaving, right? What's that about?
Yeah, interleaving is about mixing up different topics or types of problems within a single study session.
So instead of studying all of topic A, then all of topic B.
Exactly. Instead of doing block practice, you'd maybe do a problem from topic A, then one from topic B, then maybe C, then back to A, and so on.
Why is that helpful? It seems like it might be confusing.
It can feel a bit harder initially, but it forces your brain to constantly retrieve different concepts or procedures and figure out which one applies. You're not just mindlessly repeating the same steps. You have to discriminate.
So it helps you tell the difference between similar ideas.
Precisely. For instance, in biology, if you're learning about different types of amino acids, interleaving practice on non-polar and polar ones helps you really nail the differences rather than just memorizing lists separately.
Okay, got it. So retrieval, spacing, interleaving, any other big hitters?
Definitely a few more powerful ones. Elaboration is key. This means actively trying to connect new information to what you already know.
How do you do that?
Ask yourself why. Questions. How does this concept relate to something else I know? Try to explain it in your own words. Making those connections builds richer understanding.
So not just memorizing, but connecting.
Exactly. And using concrete examples. Our brains are wired to remember concrete things much better than abstract ideas.
Right.
So whenever you encounter an abstract concept, try to link it to a specific real-world example, like applying a cost-benefit analysis not just as a theory, but to deciding whether making coffee at home saves you money compared to buying it.
That makes it much more tangible.
It does. And finally, dual coding.
Combining words and visual.
Yes. Using both words and relevant images like diagrams, timelines, flowcharts, mind maps helps you process information through two different channels in your brain, verbal and visual.
So you're using more of your brain's capacity.
In a way, yes. It gives you two ways to encode and later retrieve the information, which generally leads to stronger recall than just using words alone.
Okay, these strategies are fantastic, really rooted in how the brain actually works. But learning isn't just about techniques, is it? There's the whole human element.
Absolutely. You can have the best strategies in the world, but if other things are off, learning can still be a struggle. We're not just processing units. Our emotions, our environment, even who we learn with it, all plays a massive role.
Let's talk about emotions first. How do feelings actually impact our ability to learn? I know intense stress is bad, but I've heard even a little confusion can sometimes help.
That's right. Emotions are these biological states tied to our nervous system, affecting our thoughts, motivation, everything. And yeah, extreme chronic stress is detrimental. But mild stress, or even that feeling of confusion when grappling with something new, can actually increase alertness and focus.
Okay.
But the real fuel for learning tends to be positive emotions, curiosity, interest, excitement. When you're emotionally engaged, your brain releases neurotransmitters like dopamine.
The reward chemical?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
And norepinephrine. These signal to your brain, pay attention, this is important, store this. It enhances memory consolidation.
So emotional intelligence, understanding and managing your own emotions is actually a learning skill.
It really is. Being able to regulate your emotions, especially coping with frustration or failure without giving up, is crucial. It frees up your mental resources to actually focus on the learning task. This is especially important for students who might face extra challenges, but it benefits everyone.
Okay, so managing emotions matters. What about where we learn? Does the messy desk actually hurt my learning? Be honest.
Well, it certainly can. A distraction-free environment is really important for maintaining focus. We already talked about limited working memory.
Right. Multitasking is basically a myth for learning.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Trying to learn while notifications are popping up just fragments your attention and hurts retention. But beyond just distractions, physical factors matter too. Things like natural light can improve mood and concentration. Room temperature ideally around 22 degrees Celsius or 72 Fahrenheit seems to be optimal for cognitive function.
Wow, even temperature.
Yep. And yes, even a tidy study space can genuinely help by reducing mental clutter and minimizing that extraneous cognitive load we talked about. Less visual noise means more focus.
Okay, maybe I'll tidy my desk later. What about learning with other people? Is group study just an excuse to chat, or is there real value there?
Oh, there's potentially huge value. Social learning offers so many opportunities.
Like what?
Well, first, explaining concepts to others, the protege effect. When you teach something, you have to organize your thoughts, find clear ways to explain it. That process deeply reinforces your own understanding.
True, I find I understand things better after I've tried to explain them.
Exactly. And then there's peer feedback. Getting constructive criticism from others can highlight blind spots or misunderstandings you didn't even realize you had. It makes learning much more dynamic than just studying alone.
So explaining to others and getting feedback makes sense. Okay, all these pieces, memory, strategies, emotions, environment, social aspects, they all seem to connect to this bigger idea. Metacognition. You hear that term a lot. What exactly is it?
Metacognition is essentially thinking about your own thinking, specifically for learning. It's your awareness of how you learn best and your ability to control and adjust your learning processes.
So it's like being the driver of your own learning bus.
That's a good way to think about it. It has two main parts. Metacognitive knowledge. That's what you know about yourself as a learner, about the learning task itself, and about which strategies might work.
Okay, knowing your strengths and weaknesses and knowing the tools available.
Right. And the second part is metacognitive regulation. This is the action part, how you actually manage your learning. And this breaks down into three key actions.
Okay, what are they?
First is planning. Before you start a learning task, you decide on your goals and which strategies you're going to use. Like, okay, for this exam chapter, I'll use flashcards for definitions and try the Feynman technique for the main concepts.
Setting the game plan.
Exactly. Second is monitoring. This happens while you're learning. You're constantly checking in. Am I understanding this? Is this strategy working? Can I actually recall this information, or does it just look familiar?
So that's where retrieval practice comes in again. It's a way to monitor.
Precisely. It's a reality check on your understanding in the moment. You're not just passively reading and hoping it sinks in.
And the third action?
Evaluating. This happens after the learning task, say, after you get an exam back. You look at the outcome, but more importantly, you assess how well your plan and your strategies actually worked.
So if I did poorly on a test section, evaluating means figuring out why. Was it my strategy? Did I not plan enough time? Not just looking at the grade and moving on.
Exactly that. It's reflecting on the process. Okay, cramming didn't work for that type of question. Next time, I need to use space practice and maybe try explaining the concepts out loud. That ability to self-assess and adapt your approach is what separates novice learners from expert learners. It's about becoming more strategic and efficient over time.
That seems incredibly powerful, being deliberate about planning, monitoring, and evaluating your own learning.
It's huge. And for educators, a big part of their job is helping students develop these metacognitive skills, modeling strategies, giving opportunities for reflection, maybe even using group work for social metacognition, where students challenge each other's thinking.
Okay, we've covered so much how the brain works, active strategies, the learning environment, metacognition. But there's one crucial piece we haven't really hit on yet, something vital for making all this stick.
Ah, yes. The unsung hero of learning.
Sleep.
Absolutely, sleep. It's not just downtime. Your brain is incredibly active during sleep, doing essential work for memory.
So while we learn new things when we're awake, that's acquisition, and recall them when we're awake, sleep is doing something else.
Exactly. The key process happening during sleep is consolidation. That's the process of making memories stable and durable, strengthening the connections in the brain, and integrating new information into your existing knowledge networks, those schemas we talked about.
And why is sleep the prime time for this?
Well, think about it. When you're asleep, your brain is largely offline in terms of processing new information from the outside world.
Right, less incoming data.
Precisely. This creates this protected window where the brain can focus its resources on consolidating memories without interference from new learning. Different sleep stages seem important. Too early research pointed to REM sleep, especially for emotional memories. But newer work really highlights slow-wave sleep, that deep sleep, as crucial for digesting and integrating factual learning.
So pulling that all-nighter before an exam, probably a bad idea.
It can be really counterproductive, yes. Sleep deprivation doesn't just make you feel groggy. It significantly impairs your attention, concentration, and your ability to encode new information effectively the next day.
So it hurts future learning too.
Definitely. Your neurons are overworked, they struggle to organize information, and you might even find it harder to access things you already learned. Plus, lack of sleep impacts mood, judgment. It's just fundamental for overall cognitive performance and consolidating what you've worked so hard to learn.
Wow. Okay, what a journey through the learning process. We've really unpacked a lot today. From the basic memory stages, sensory, working, long-term, and those schemas.
Right, and the whole concept of cognitive load, intrinsic, extraneous, and that crucial germane load.
And then all those powerful active strategies. Retrieval practice, spaced practice, interleaving, elaboration, concrete examples, dual coding.
Moving beyond just passive rereading.
And we explored how our emotions, our physical environment, even learning with others can profoundly shape how well we learn and remember.
And tying it all together, that master skill of metacognition planning, monitoring, and evaluating your own learning. Plus, the absolute necessity of good sleep for memory consolidation.
It's clear that all this information isn't just for, students sitting in a classroom. It's really for anyone at any stage of life who wants to learn more effectively, whether it's for work, a hobby, or just personal growth.
Absolutely. The brain is an incredible thing, and understanding these principles gives you the power to use it more effectively.
It really does. So here's something to think about as we wrap up. How might intentionally integrating just one new learning strategy we talked about today, maybe retrieval practice, or maybe prioritizing better sleep this week, how might that fundamentally change not just what you learn, but maybe even how you feel about the whole process of learning itself?
That's a great question. What new aha moment could you create for yourself by trying something different?